Thanks for listening to our daily devotional. The lesson today is what happened to that tree? In front of our house, we have actually one tree, apple tree, that's left. Used to have three. And through the years, people would come up and they'd look at the apple tree and they'd say, what happened to that tree? Well, the answer was plain. There was a north wind that came up and we didn't protect it from that wind like maybe we should have. And as a result, the trees just went over. They grew odd, out of sync, not upright. Today people go about and they look and they see the way young folk act. Actually, sadly, continues on to the time that they get to older folk. But people look at them while they're young and say, what happened to that child? In the 1700s, there was a saying that was begun, and it says, as the twig is bent, the tree's inclined. In other words, if you plant a tree and you don't let that twig remain upright, you don't bring it back upright whenever the storms hit it. If you don't keep bringing it back up, it's going to be inclined that way. The writer in Proverbs gives us the warning about that very thing. In our reading on Friday, Proverbs 19 and verse 18, he said, chasten thy son while there is yet hope. In other words, before he gets inclined that way. It says, let not thy soul spare for his crying. They don't want it. I want to be like everybody else. I want to do this. That's just the way I am. No, you chasten your son while there's yet hope. In verse 19, he says, a man of great wrath shall suffer punishment. If thou deliver him, yet thou must do it again. In other words, there are consequences that are there that must be faced. As you bring up a child, you don't bail them out all the time. If so, it's just a continuing thing. And actually, after they grow older, they expect to get away with things. The writer in Proverbs 13, an earlier reading, he said, he who spareth the rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him promptly. That promptly is an early aspect. You do it now. You think about, again, that saying, as the twig is bent, the tree's inclined. Well, as we raise our children, we need to realize the way that God commands us, encourages us, gives us examples of the need of. The book of Ephesians, the 6th chapter. Bring up your children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. And that requires, as it does with us through life, to have the chastening of the Lord. That is, here is right, here is wrong. You don't bail them out. You don't allow it to go on. You bring them back upright. And we do that out of love. So many times the consequences, and we see in society, the depravity that's around began whenever they were little and allowed to do just whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. We look and people still walk by and they'll see a tree that's just leaning and leaning. What happened to that tree? Well, as the twig is bent, the tree's inclined. Then they look out and they see the young ones that grow into older ones. What happened to that child? As the twig is bent, the tree's inclined. Let's love our children, discipline them, chasten them while there's hope before they get bent to where they'll stay. Thanks for listening. Let's have a good day. Let's realize that we help one another to stay upright. Thank you again for joining us in this Bible study. We remind you, if you'd like to follow along in our daily Bible reading, the link below in the description of this video will give you the PDF so you can read right along with us. If you have any other questions or if you'd like information on a Bible study, contact us with the information provided on the screen before you.